Welcome. I am Neil Thompson, and it is my great pleasure to welcome Mr. Sen and all of you around the world to tonight's teleseminar. It is Wednesday night and time to raise our belief level. And I realized from Mr. Sen's example, and I saw him walking the path before he showed me and others how to walk the path. He lives his teachings first, and then he teaches the world. And I'd like to give you an example tonight. In 1999, at the turn of the century, Mr. Sen came up with a vision as one of the Millennium Projects for Canada. And he visioned the First Nations Pavilion of Canada in Hong Kong for the new millennium. And he saw all the Aboriginal people of Canada. This was his vision. He saw all the Aboriginal people of Canada getting together coast to coast and building a pavilion for their art and sculpture at the Hall of Elegance. And this Hall of Elegance is one of the most prestigious places where any exhibitions could be held in Asia. And he presented his vision of this great pavilion to promote the rare arts and sculpture of the first people of Canada. And, he presented it both to the First Nations and to the Government of Canada. At first, the first thought was, this is a crazy idea. This is what came back. An unbelievable idea. Because not only did he include that they were doing the exhibition, but also included the natives of Canada dancing in front of 50,000 business people in Hong Kong to promote the First Nations culture and arts. But somehow, and it was incredible how from a simple vision, he manifested a gigantic project. And, like all great ideas, the vision he held, it was ridiculed in the beginning, both in Asia and in Canada. But they all eventually agreed, and it was a huge success. And after that, because of that success, Mr. Sen, he was invited to join the Prime Minister of Canada when he was taking Team Canada to Hong Kong, Beijing, and Shanghai to promote Canada and China. And during this big Millennium event, over 54,000 people, they saw 10 performances of 9 Canadian dancers in the Hall of Elegance with a 60-square-meter pavilion, and it was designed as a teepee, floating from the sky, and that was even his vision, too, as well. That was his idea, Mr. Sen's idea. So I can only say that we have the right teacher in front of us, and I saw with my very own eyes because I assisted him in this project. And history was made for the First Nations people in China. So the topic for today's teleseminar was designed around a very interesting question we received, and it may apply to all of us. And here's the question. How can I get rid of my negative thought? I read books after books. I go to seminar to seminar. But when I get down to thinking, I end up being flooded by negative thoughts, and I know that they will manifest. Why is it easier to have negative thoughts and not thoughts of plenty, romance, and peace? So Mr. Sen will answer this question and then continue on with tonight's subject, vaccination against negative thoughts. So welcome, Mr. Sen, to tonight's call.
Thank you, Neil. That was a good reminder of that pavilion back in 2000.
Yes.
It was April of 2000, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And the only glitch you had was that in the whole program was the drums of the dancers. They didn't stay solid. Remember because of the humidity.
Oh yes. The drums, because of the humidity, the drums were becoming
saggy. Yeah, very saggy.
So the Consul General's office, the Canadian Consul office, sent us hairdryer.
Yes, and it worked. It worked very well.
We took a hairdryer, and that was a great one. Including the vice consul, everybody was trying to make the drums straight. Anyway, we had a drummer over there who had a small drum, and he had only one arm. And he held it one arm and drummed with one arm, And that was amazing. We had this performed dancers dancing with full regalia of the whole history, like Sitting Bull and Geronimo. And it was a picturesque thing. And people were, since then, we've seen replicas of chiefs and teepees and everything as gift items made in China today. But that was a vision. Yes, that was a vision. Something I just sat down and I said, okay, we can do it. So the question today is, how can I get rid of my negative thoughts? I read books after books. I go to seminar to seminar. But when I get down to thinking, I end up being flooded by negative thoughts. And I know that they will manifest. Why is it easier to have negative thoughts and not thoughts of plenty, romance, and peace? That's the question. Well, let me give you an answer. A child lives, an infant totally lives from his bodily impulse, from his bodily comfort. All his demands are based on his bodily comfort. Whenever he's hungry, he cries. He wants to play, he wants to have entertainment. He'll cry or he'll ask you for entertainment. The concept that we grow up and the mind comes that then after the child is a full body thing in the beginning. Then he develops the mind of his own and then he explores what is this body. And then he says, then he realizes that there is something more than mind. He can dream. But dreams are like movies, like plays in the old days. So, very few people realize, why do I dream? I mean daydream, waking dreams. There are waking dreams and sleeping dreams. So end up realizing that what the mind has not experienced, what the mind has experienced most, that's what it lives on. You can go to all the seminars in the world and all the theories in the world and study all the theories in the world, study the best books. You can read all the books from ancient times. You can read Plato, Descartes, Pythagoras, Patanjali. You can read all of them. But if you cannot train your mind to obey you, they're just knowledge. And knowledge isn't power. That's a misnomer. Knowledge limits. The use of knowledge may be power. But where does knowledge come from? First came man. First came man and woman. Then came knowledge out of them. Or books did not come first. Books came out of humankind. So, but we rely so much on the theory. What's the point of studying if you cannot apply what you're studying? What is the point of going to a seminar? What is the point of going to a seminar? What is the point of living a life that has absolutely, where you have no control over your mind? The point is that we have to get the control over our mind. We have come here to take charge of our mind. That's the game, or that's the quest. I remember I remember when in the one play that has left a mark in my heart is The Man of La Mancha. When Don Miguel Cervantes, when he says, when Don Miguel Cervantes is telling Dulcinea, this who is the kitchen woman, Aldonza, tells her, she comes and says, why do you do this? Why are you mad? Why do you do these things? Because he's calling her Dulcinea. He sees things that never were and thinks that this is why not is real. He sees a beautiful woman. He doesn't see a kitchen slut, as the rest of the crew in that place sees it. He sees the innkeeper as the king of the castle. He's head of the castle. He sees the inn as a castle. And everybody is laughing at him and joking at him. And he says, why do you do this? And he says, it's the quest. I said, what quest? He said, to dream, the impossible dream. To write, to fight the unbeatable foe. To right the unrightable wrong. To love, pure and chaste from afar. I don't have it in right sequence. I'm just telling you from my memory. To try when your arms are too weary. To reach for the unreachable star. He says, this is my quest. To follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far. To fight for the right, without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know, if I only be true to this glorious quest, my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach for the unreachable star. That was the quest. That was his vision. A quest is a vision. To dream the impossible dream. Most of us can't dream, leave alone impossible dream, because we've been cornered and boxed in by our mind. That is the very reason I wrote Ancient Secrets of Success, to convey the message that yes, you can build a pavilion in Hong Kong for the First Nations of Canada, to give them a dream, so they can see that they can, to take them from the reserves to right to the grand halls of Canada, of the world, where they'll see in the old grandeur of who they were, and be proud of the fact that a people that they have, their culture is so ancient and so good and so great. I sat in their reserves, talked with the elders, sat in council meetings, sat in fireplaces across in the Footprint Lake. I sat in the snow-bound Rockies, and one of the shamans and a medicine man, and he built a business of natural foods, natural soap around the world. the dream, the vision. I said, you can't give up. Because there is no option. The same play, The Man of La Mancha, Don Miguel Cervantes is waiting for his Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition is going to take place because he's been charged. And over there, he's telling his crowd of people that he's putting them in another form of trial. And he said, I've been to wars. I have seen people die. I have seen people die in my arms, in excruciating pain in this war. And everyone, the people ask me why. Why? They're not asking me why they are dying. They've asked me why they have lived. Why they have lived. We live to vision. We live to dream. We live to think beyond what we are. That's our divinity is shouting out inside, unlock me, unlock me, unlock me. And the masters of the East and the masters of the West created a formula, the key to unlock it. The unlocking is the four proclamations, and the West is the tetragrammaton. And you understand the four proclamations. Remember, we live in Thoughtland. I'll come to that in a moment. We live in Thoughtland. All our waking hours are thinking hours. The question we have to ask is, are we thinking the thoughts we want to think? Or are we thinking the thoughts that we really don't want to think but are ending up thinking? Why? Why do we do that? Why can't we simply say to the mind, I just want to think of riches and think of thoughts of plenty, think of romance, of health. We settle. We settle for what? We settle for what? The heart doesn't want to settle. The mind wants to settle. We want the best. We want to have all the joys of life. That reminds me of another movie, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid were very smart robbers. And finally they were caught by a posse that they had no way out. Butch Cassidy was played by, I think, Paul Newman. And Sundance was played by Robert Redford. They were backed up against the cliff. And they had no way out. And the posse was surrounding them. And Butch said to Sundance, Robert Redford, there's a straight drop from that cliff to the river. And as he dropped, he said, jump. We jump to the river and go. He said, I won't jump. Butch Sundance said, Robert, I won't jump. He said, why not? I said, I can't tell you. And he said, tell me. And after a lot of coaxing, he said, I can't swim. So Paul Newman, Butch Cassidy, started laughing. Ha, 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 ha. Says, you idiot, the fall was going to kill you. Remember one thing. You've come here to live a glorious life. You have to live a free life. And we're going to go away. So what's the point? We have to demand the best out of life and train our mind for the quest. The quest is to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary to reach for the unreachable star. Instead, what we do, we think of problems that we have to face. Of course we have problems. Why don't we create bigger problems? The impossible dream is a bigger problem. We have to flood it out. That's another story. In January onwards, I'm going to give you how to flood it out later, because it's a slope, it's a process. You have to chip away and chip away. Don't believe that overnight you can chip away and become the master of your mind. It requires assiduous practice. Yes, you might get hyped up and create some sensational mind tricks for a while and break a few bricks with your head or whatever you do, but that don't last, because that's an altered state of mind which you have artificially conjured up. But you should have that state of mind where you are in control of your mind all the time, 24/7. You can even plan your dreams when you go to sleep. Yes, that can be done. You can even work when you sleep, when you have control over your mind. We will go through that whole program in the next, say, 6 to 12 months, because it's going to take a while. We have not started this just to have our seminar here, unless you truly love yourself. You cannot come on Wednesday live to hear this. I wait for Wednesday every day, every week. It's become a passion. The passion for life. What is passion? Passion is suffering. Willing to suffer. That's what passion means. And compassion means with suffering. When you're passionate about something, you're willing to suffer. We are too much caught up with easy way of success. We think we can buy success. You must be kidding. If we can buy success, then there would be no problem in the world. We have to develop the power to be successful. And the power to be successful is the power to have full control over our mind. Back to the question. The question is, why can't I think positive thoughts? Why do I always end up thinking negative thoughts of lack, of what can go wrong? And the answer is very simple. We, as a child, depended, all our needs were body needs. Then the mind came along, it was all mind needs. We forgot that we are made of consciousness. We are the microcosm. We, a drop of the ocean, has all the power of the ocean in it. The spark has all the power of the blaze in that the spark came out of, and can create blaze. And then we have to go. But what happens? Our mind sabotages it. The mind wants to be there. The mind is not an enemy. I'll give you a story which is in the Ancient Secrets of Success. Story of the scorpion and the frog. This story is very interesting, and this story has been told by a lot of people around the world. And this story, when I was a kid, I was told too, that there was a frog and a scorpion living on the bank of a river. And the scorpion wanted to cross the river, but the scorpions can't swim. So he went to this frog and said, "Hey, frog, can you take me on your back and give me a ride to the other bank, other side of the river? The frog looked at the scorpion and said, great, I can, but I won't. Why? Because you have the habit of stinging, and you'll sting me, and I'll die. The scorpion laughed and said, are you crazy? Are you so dumb? I said, what's so dumb about it? If I sting you in the river, you will drown, you will die. And I can't swim, so I'll die too. The frog says, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, hop on my back. So the scorpion hopped on the back of the frog, and the frog started swimming into breaststrokes, frog strokes. And as he came in the center of the river, and his instincts took over. His instincts took over, and he could not help it. He wanted to sting that frog like he forgot that he had a consciousness. He forgot his purpose. He forgot everything. Only thing when the instinct, the urge, the lust for power just took over, he just went and stung the frog. The frog looked up and said, what? What did you do? He said, well, I didn't realize. My instinct took over. There is no explanation. Instincts don't have explanation. So they both drowned and died. That is exactly the mind and consciousness. Consciousness produces all substance, brings everything towards it. The law of attraction, or the secrets, all these things are no use to us unless we can train our mind to think the thoughts we want to think. Why can't we think that our worries will not be about money or relationship, but our worries will be, instead of worrying about money and relationship, why can't we think what our worries will be to decide whether we should go to Tokyo or Taipei for dinner from Hong Kong? Why can't we think that we'll sit on the banks of the river Jamuna with our romance against the glow of the Taj Mahal, covered by the moonlight under a clear blue sky? The Taj Mahal under the moonlight, full moon, and the river Jamuna's reflection looks like a piece of gem. This is a love story of the highest love story. This is a symbol of love. And while sitting on the banks of the river Jamuna, we can almost hear the ankle bells of Radha when she's dancing. She danced a few thousand years ago to the music of the flute of Krishna. These are the imagination, the desire we have to have. And we can train the mind. I'll tell you why we can't do it. This, because the scorpion stings the frog. When I was telling it to you, you felt you needed it, you wanted it, and then the scorpion came and said, no. Scorpion is our instinct. We have a consciousness, and we have our conscious mind, conscious heart, and instinctive part. The instinct we share with all the animals. Like the animals know when they want to migrate, they have to migrate, when they have to hibernate, how to build a nest. We have gone beyond that. But our mindset sometimes goes to that level where we can't think of plenty, we can't think of romance, we can't think beyond, outside the box, as they say. We get up in the morning and work all day. We do everything, but one thing we don't do. And what is that? We do nothing to train our mind to listen to our consciousness, to our heart. That thing is to train, to believe, to raise the belief level. Whose belief level? The belief level of the mind. The mind can only believe what it has experienced. That's the instinctive part. What is, it's in its DNA, is programmed in. It's in its genetics. And we, as humans, have to transcend that. That is the difference between humans and the rest of creation. We know there could be higher lives, but we don't know. That thing is so that, how do you do that? Simple. The masters knew it. So the masters decided, that's why I wrote the book, Ancient Secrets of Success, to first tell you that all the power of the universe is in you. But you're not aware of it. Went to college, school, university, the first class I attended was economic geography. The professor came and said to us, open the book. We opened it. And he said, wrote it down. There could be oil under the ground there, or diamonds under the ground, under the earth where we were sitting. But unless we know how to dig it out and get it to the marketplace or for use, it cannot be called a resource. It is not a resource till we are able to dig it out. So we don't have it. You can have all the oil in the world, but if you don't have the means to dig it out, you don't have oil. Similarly, we have all the power of the universe that ever was or will be right in us right now. The same power that created the stars, the galaxies, the grain of sand. Because we are made by that power, with that power, to do the same thing by thinking. As Tennyson said, it is closer to us than our own hands and feet. So the masters realized that. And they said, okay, they, in both around the world, it's not an exclusive property of East India or China or Europe. But I'm giving you from the point of view from the Vedic side, where they give the 4 proclamations. The first one, and in Ancient Secrets of Success, it said it. It says, how do you master the mind? The teachers, both of the East and the West, has given it in different formats. The masters say knowledge limits. The master says to properly introduce yourself to your servant, your main servant, your mind. Now the mind is your servant and has taken control of the master. Can you imagine? The proper introduction of the master to the servant is the 4 proclamations. Where you go to the servant, your mind, it says, I need you to serve me. Without you, I cannot run my household. And now I'm going to tell you who I am and why you should obey my instruction and why you should know that I have all the power and all the resources in the world to provide you with if you just obey my instructions and hold the thoughts I tell you to hold. In chapter 14, this is how it says in Ancient Secrets of Success. How to take control of the mind with the power of the 4 proclamations. I'm going to read some excerpts out of that for you. We never learn anything. we discover what we already know. The entire universe is in us now. All the power that ever was or will be is in you right now. You are a center of expression of that power. And through your individualized consciousness, it takes form in thought and word. Every thought and word is coming from the great consciousness and processed through your individualized consciousness. So it has to manifest if you can hold it. And you have to tell your mind that. When you're immersed in this understanding, you're guided step by step into the path of liberation. Liberation means change. We cannot liberate ourselves unless and until we change. Venues. To lead you through this journey, to know yourself, is the purpose of the four proclamations. Thousands of years ago, in the forest and the mountains of the Himalayas, the ancient masters formulated a system. It was a system to train the mind to experience the relationship between the individual and the universe. This system consists of four statements. Rather, there are four proclamations which lead man to his liberation from all bondage. These proclamations have parallels in the ancient teachings of the world. They contain the essence of all the teachings of the Vedas. These proclamations have been tested and tried for thousands of years by the great sages and masters, leading the neophyte or the student into self-mastery. The practice of these principles gives the power to the student to realize and experience that consciousness is the one life, from which the whole phenomenal universe emerges. Consciousness is the life force of all matter, sentient and insentient. All the power of this magnificent universe is in your consciousness now, at this very moment. It's not to be had later. By controlling your own mind, that means teaching your mind that you have all the resources. Your consciousness can give the mind all the resources. You can control your world. This practice will give you back your control over your own mind. All the power is in you. You do not have to go and get the power. You realize what you already have. It was always with you. It was under the control of your mind. Now with this practice, you will control your own mind. You will think from the core of your being. Your thinking will almost blend into the enchanting world of fantasy. Like when I told you that I dreamed of a pavilion, I dreamed of this. I'm not into name and game, believe me, but I enjoyed when I saw those dancers dancing away. One of the dancers out there is an older elder. He had a heart situation. I said, you don't have to dance. He says, no, I have to for my people. I could see the spirit of Geronimo, spirit of Sitting Bull, and all those great people, all this regalia, the headdresses. You only saw it in Hollywood movies, but I visioned beyond Hollywood movies. I saw it in reality, the same people with their ancestry, proclaiming to the world, we are here, and here announcing our existence, and we are here to trade. And do you know, on top of that, we established Hong Kong Corporation of the First Nations, Development Corporation of the First Nations in Hong Kong. That was a dream. Nobody ever thought that. Even the government of Canada was surprised. So what we're doing. Yes, you have to take that quantum leap, the vision, the dream. The dream must begin. That's why in that book I wrote, you will think from the core of your being. Will almost blend in the enchanting world of fantasy. You'll be able to vision things that you could not vision before. What you would consider impossible will become impossible. It won't be fantasy for you. It will be your reality. Then you can dream the impossible dream. Like I have a vision now. I have a vision. The next vision is to share my experience of writing and speaking and marketing to the world, how I did it. The way I have done it. I always wanted to be free. Like my lifestyle, I always wanted to be free. I went to law school. I didn't feel like practicing law, so that's what I did. I wanted to be free spirit. To do whatever I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to do it. And I've lived like that all my life. I had to pay a price. But boy, oh boy, the price was cheap compared to the product I got all my life as an absolute free man. Answering to no one. I write, I speak, and I earn. My being is affluence. I refuse to be poor. I refuse to settle for second class. I can't think of anything else. I couldn't imagine. Believe me, I'm a barefoot boy from Calcutta, but when I decided to do that, I couldn't even believe that I should buy suits off the rack. I have a tailor in Hong Kong who has my measurements. I'm not boasting you, I'm not showing off, but I'm telling you, if you have a dream, you can fulfill it. I will share my experience and put my soul in that summit, which I'm planning a vision. I will share all my experiences and how I did it and put my soul on a platter for the participants in the forthcoming summit for writers, speakers, and marketers for today's world in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I know some of you will join me from across the world. I'll announce the dates in January. It's called Writers, Speakers, and Marketers Summit in Chiang Mai, Thailand. The theme will be, the theme of this summit will be Archimedes' famous saying, "Give me a place to stand and I'll move the world." I've traveled the world. I've done things. I've taken people around the world who couldn't dream of it before. I have taken people who never left their state or their province. The theme of this is, give me a place to stand and I'll move the world. A plan to build a global business with print, digital, and other people's products. To speak to the world from a coffee shop and promote your books anywhere, from Beijing to New York or Bangalore to Boston. Raise your belief level and write excruciatingly powerful, painful book. Now, why I say excruciatingly painful? Because your book must change lives. And change includes pain. No pain, no change. We have to give up the old to bring the new. We are too hung up in the old. That's called decluttering. We don't want to throw away anything, so we get buried in it. You have to raise your belief level and write the bestseller that you could have dreamed of before. The book should be a poetry. not depending on what somebody's going to tell you to write about. You have to write, a great author is an author who can take your soul, put it on a platter, and give it to a reader, say, drink from this cup. And he can say, yes, like Omar Khayyam. He can say, I fill the cup. What boots it to repeat? How time is slipping underneath our feet. Unborn tomorrow and dead yesterday. Why fret about them if today be sweet? That living in the moment, when your consciousness is the boss, the mind is the servant. And that 4 proclamations will do it. We have to prepare the mind to write and change lives. To prepare the mind to speak and take the message of your book to the world. To prepare the heart to express itself through your voice and reverberate your message to the world, and you'll find a place to stand, and you will move the world. I have. In my world, I have. How to write irresistible copy with your truth. How? I'd understand the human mind and how they react to colors, graphics, and language, intonation of voice, and how it all should be incorporated in your presentation to move your world. That is a vision I have. I picked up this vision because many people asked me, we want to do the same things that you're doing. I said, yes, but you need to spend the time away from your own environment first, in a different environment, different place. Chiang Mai is a mountainous region of Thailand, and where we can spend time together, and where you can really build and understand yourself. A writer, all writers, doesn't matter what kind of a writer we are, is a poet. He sees the poetry of life and may present it in poems or in prose, but still they're poets. They sing the song which the reader can understand. If you read my book, you'll find my soul in there, what you've gone through. So what we're going to do, these 4 proclamations needs to be explained thoroughly. And it has to be taken one at a time, and from January onwards, I will take the 4 proclamations and give it to you one at a time, and I'm going to spend a lot of time. We will have a membership situation, and we are working on it, and that time you'll be notified. I'm not going to go away. I'm going to be with you, and we're going to have this seminar on a regular basis. It's nothing like listening to it live. Yes, and then you can always listen to the recording later and to refresh it. But remember, thoughts are things. Thoughts are vibrations. And that is why when you're listening to it live, it penetrates. Now, before I go today, I'm going to tell you, I've told you this before, let's start from scratch. Each one of you across the world, take time to love yourself. And I know you love yourself, but prove it. And this is how you prove it. Take an hour this week, this coming week. Anytime, just take 1 hour. Go to an exclusive place. Take a notebook and spend 1 hour, if necessary, 2 hours, Shut off your cell phone, shut off everything else. Go to a park. Go to any place that nobody knows you and nobody will say hello to you. I go to Duffin's Creek every day. The little creek that goes into Lake Ontario when I'm in town. The whole idea is go there and write down for that hour one thing that you will want. Just one thing. And doesn't matter whether you can have it or not. If you had all the power of the universe sitting with you, and all the wealth and all the resources and everything, write it down. Write it down. Don't take it lightly. When you went on your first date, you dreamed of, if you're in the old days, how you to comb your hair, what clothes you'll wear, and everything else. But this is a date with destiny. It's much, much more romantic than you've ever been before. This is the romance of life. Do not, when you are making that statement, do not take anything else into consideration, anything past, present, or future into consideration. Go into your heart and let your heart go wild. Romance. Life is romance. When we want money, do you know why we want money? It's for romance. Otherwise, you're wanting money for security. We are secure. We will not starve. Take that romance of yourself and spend, and do not come out of that place less than an hour. Love yourself for an hour and write down one thing. One thing what you want. Not this, or not conditional or anything. I want this. And make it not more than, say, 40 words or 30 words. And then I will tell you in the next teleseminar what we'll do next. But you'll see everything will be synchronized with that. You will watch. This is real. Please do it. And the next teleseminar, I don't think there'll be a teleseminar next Wednesday because of Thanksgiving in the United States, but the week after that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sen. Another life-transforming talk. And thanks for sharing your vision of the Writers, Speakers, and Marketers Summit in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And I love the theme you gave. Give me a place to stand, and I will change the world. And you said you'll be announcing those dates in January, right?
I'll move the world.
I'll move the world. Yes,
yeah.
Better.
Archimedes.
Yes. I would like to remind everyone once again that if you don't have a copy of Ancient Secrets of Success for Today's World, you can order it online by going to www.raiseyourbelieflevel.com. That's raiseyourbelieflevel.com. And as Mr. Sen was reading through the book tonight, read the book over and over again. It not only will give you the know-how and the knowledge of success, it tells you how to practice success. And that is the big difference between this book and most of the other books out there, and it gives you the practice of success. And as Mr. Sen was saying, next week we'll take a break and not have the teleseminar owing to the American Thanksgiving holiday. But be of good cheer. We will continue with Mr. Sen's life-changing teleseminars on December 2nd. And also re-listen to tonight's teleseminar when you receive the email in the next few days about tonight's recording. And please forward this email to your friends, your relatives, and anybody else in the world you would like to share it with. And also get them to join in the December 2nd teleseminar 2 weeks from now. and they can listen online from anywhere in the world with no long-distance charges. So good night, adieu, Auf Wiedersehen, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. And thank you again, Mr. Sen.
Thank you.